and welcome to my channel. What's up everybody? My name is Amanda, but you may know me as MandoBug since that's what I go by on social media like Ravelry, Instagram, MandoBug Crafts on Facebook. So today I have a finished objects video, and I'd like to go ahead and apologize in advance if any of the videos on my channel are ever choppy, like a lot of quick edits. That's because usually I record while my daughter Emily naps, and I start recording when my son's sleeping, but he usually wakes up at some point during a recording of some videos, and so I kind of do my best to edit out any loud crashes, any screaming, any crying. Just because I have to listen to that doesn't mean that you guys should have to. So I try to keep as much background noise out of my videos as possible, so sometimes they can be a bit choppy. I did notice that in one of my previous videos, so I kind of just wanted to give you guys a description of why that happens. So my first finished object is the Halloweb shawl. I finished the actual pattern that I'm going to be releasing, and you can see it's a pretty good size shawl. So I'm gonna go ahead and stand up so you can get the full view of the shawl. So here's Halloweb. Yeah, this is a pretty good size shawl, huh? So this took approximately 650 yards of fingering weight yarn. That's a super rough estimate because I'm just trying to roughly add the numbers up in my head. I do have the specific yardage that I used to create it written down in the pattern, and it's being tested right now, so I will get additional information on what my testers used, and I'll be able to give more accurate, detailed explanation of the amount of yarn that you would need if you wanted to make this. So, getting my squat workout in, because I don't think you guys can see, you guys can't see, but I'm squatting to be able to fit in the frame. If I put the shawl on, let me pull my hair forward so you can see it doesn't come to a full close here. You could fully close it with a pin if you wanted, but you kind of have to pull it around. If you let it lay flat on your shoulders, it kind of just hangs right outside your chest. It would stay on if you didn't, I guess, do anything crazy. Try to fly away, you might lose it. Here's what it looks like down the back. And then here's some of it up close. You know, I'm glad I'm wearing a dark sweater today so that you can see through the lace panels, since the wall behind me is white. So this shawl was crocheted using a size G hook, which I think is a 4.0 millimeter needle. If not, I'll put the correction at the bottom. And I used fingering weight yarn. The orangey golden color is Dream & Color Smushy in Gold Experience, and then the contrasting color is Dream & Color Smushy in Tokyo Cream. And the lace sections have these bronze beads in them, and it's not gonna autofocus because you can see my face through the holes. So I'll do my best to show you up close some of the lace, but you can see I did put beads in the third and fourth lace sections, which I didn't have beads on them in the past. Well, not in the past. I didn't have beads on them in my prototype, but this is the actual official pattern that I wrote up, and it's currently being tested right now. I am using the free pattern testers group on Ravelry, and then also one of my friends, a viewer of the podcast, is also testing it. And she has a video podcast. If you know German, her podcast is in German. I've talked about it way in the past, but if you just recently started watching my videos, her podcast is called Mucklpu Video Podcast, and I will link it in the description box below if that's something you are interested in watching. And she's been posting about her progress on Instagram too, so she's using some really pretty colors, and I'm excited to see how hers turns out because in these solid block areas she's using a variegated color. So when I wrote this, in the back of my mind I wondered what it would look like if you used a variegated color in the solid stripes. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that turns out. The other testers, one of them's already done, but she hasn't posted her shawl yet. And another tester is about halfway through, and I got to see a picture of it. It's looking good. And I do know that one of my testers is using acrylic yarn, and she's complained about the solid sections ruffling, which mine ruffled a little bit when I initially made it, but it's wool and it blocks right out. So you can see there's ruffling when you hold it like this, but once it is in its full shape, the ruffling goes away. So I'm kind of curious to see how crocheting it in acrylic will affect it, and if it's possible to use acrylic to make it. I don't even know. The deadline for my testers is November 9th, so hopefully I'll be releasing it sometime around then. We'll see though, because the program, I've talked about the program I used to chart the pattern. The program is called Stitch Fiddle. It's not a program you download. You can use it in your web browser, and it's definitely a work in progress, and there were features that were not available at the time that I created the charts that are available now, which would help me make my charts easier to follow. So I kind of want to redo all of my charts, which may mean that I have to have the pattern retested again. So hopefully not, but I will keep you guys updated with that. And then I made these two cute guys. I've made this pattern in the past. This is Patch by Susan Claudino, but when I made it in the past, it was for a friend's daughter. And so this time I made one for each of my kids. So this one I made for Emily, and I used red heart and orange, red heart in like a, what would you call that? There's a sage green. And then the body is Yarn Love and Shirley in the color Bloom. This yarn is actually some leftover yarn I had from when I knit Emily these really cute wool pants. It kind of sucks though, because she only got to wear the pants once. She grew out of them so quickly, and Josh also accidentally sent them through the washing machine, and they got felted and they shrank a little bit. So, but oh well, you know, you live and you learn. So this one's Emily's, and then Jack's, I used his leftover sweater yarn to knit the body. So I also used a different green, but it's also red heart. So, but this is the Blue Moon Fiber Arts Targhee worsted in Crazy Lace Agate. So I thought it would be cute that it kind of has a matching sweater to his sweater. And you know, you can tell there's a part because they're different colors. Not that they're at the age that they care. They just play with whatever. And then the eyes, I have to fix. I just made them with felt and just quickly tacked them down, but they've kind of pulled up some of the stitches, so I need to re-stitch down the white felt parts. The black felt is secured pretty well, but the white needs to be. I need to do like another set of stitches around the eyes to make sure they don't get pulled up. I think that's Jack chewing on them. And then I got my spinning wheel back. I have not touched my spinning wheel since last December. So my spinning wheel was at my mother-in-law's house in her spare bedroom, just kind of sitting by itself, crying lonely. So I got, you know what it really was, is I got extremely jealous of everybody's posts and podcasts about Spinzilla, and seeing all of the handspun yarn, I just really wanted to get my wheel back. And even though both of my kids are still really young and it's hard to keep them from touching it, I figured, you know, I can at least try to spin during nap time, or in the evening, or in the morning, you know, at those brief moments of the day where I don't have to watch either of them because they're sleeping. So that nap didn't last very long. But anyways, like I was saying, you know, I figured I could at least do some spinning during their nap times, or at the times that I do get my brief break from them. So I was actually right, Jack? You want to see my spinning? So I had some fiber on the wheel resting. I was spinning Malabrigo Nube in the Solace colorway. It's kind of like a Seahawks looking colorway. I bought one for myself and one for my mother-in-law, and I figured it would be fun to see how each of us spins it up. And then I was going to make, I was going to make my husband a hat out of the yarn. And this spin was actually kind of funny because I initially started spinning it as a single for a chain plied fingering weight, which I remembered that I had started spinning that way and then got really frustrated with the fiber. So there's some really dark saturated blue spots in the braid that were felted and extremely difficult to draft, and I was getting really frustrated with it and I just wanted to be done with the fiber, so I decided to do a 2-ply worsted weight. And so I remembered that I did that. So I had one bobbin on the wheel and then I had another separated chunk of fiber. Well, when I finished the first bobbin on the wheel, I noticed how full it was, and then I went to spin the second bobbin and it was not as full as the first bobbin, and so I was like, there's no way this is gonna 2-ply together evenly. There's more fiber on the first bobbin. So I decided to be safe, and I was like, maybe I didn't remember correctly. I'll just chain ply these. So I chain plied the second bobbin, the smaller one, and then I went to chain ply the first one, and I noticed when I got to the thinner singles that I was right. I had started and at some point I switched, but what I didn't remember is when I switched from the chain plied fingering weight goal that's when I split my fiber in half. So had I 2-plied it together like I planned, I would have run out of my second bobbin at the moment that the yarn switched to the thinner yarn, so I would have been fine. But because I doubted what I remembered, I ended up with a chain plied bulky weight instead of a 2-ply worsted weight. So here are my 2 skeins of chain plied bulky, and we'll get up real close. I've got Jack in one hand here, so see if I can do this. So it came out pretty decent, even though, like I said, I was having issues with the that darker blue saturated color was felted. I was having issues drafting that out, but I do have 83 yards here of this bulky, so it should still be enough to make Josh a hat. And then the skinnier singles that I had, I thought I was spinning it for a fingering weight, but this is definitely more of a sport weight, chain plied sport weight, and I only have about 27 yards here, so you can tell I gave up on spinning it thin pretty quickly because I was just too frustrated. And if you've ever spun with felted fiber before, it hurts your hands because you really have to pull at that fiber, and it could make my hands cramp sometimes from really ripping at it, and that's not fun. I think in the future, if I ever have any felted fiber like that again, I'm just going to go ahead and do some crazy art yarn with it and let it chunk up where it does, because it just, you know, spinning takes so long. You should enjoy it while you're doing it. And I think part of it, what it is with the felted yarn too, is that you know that you're not going to get a consistent yarn, and if that's what you're trying to do, you're going to be unhappy with it. Right, Jack? Tell him. You're going to be unhappy. Yeah. Jack, he had a fever yesterday. He wasn't feeling very good. And I've noticed his eye here. Oh, buddy. His eye has been weeping these little green boogers. So I think he might have like a little infection in his eye, but nothing to worry about. But, right, Papas? I gave him a little bit of Tylenol to calm his fever yesterday, and he seems back to normal today, just still with his weepy eye. But yeah, he hasn't been napping for very long today or yesterday, or even the day before, really, which I think is a combination between this weeping eye and his teething. So, but yeah, so that's what was on my wheel that I finished. And then I did like a cleansing spin, right? So it had been so long since I spun. I was happy that, you know, that this turned out as decent as it did. That, but I decided I wanted to do something to just kind of get myself back in the swing of things. So I went with a traditional 3-ply, and it's all one color. It's a solid color. So this was a Christmas present last year, I think. And this is Ashland Bay Merino top in pumpkin, so it was already dyed merino top, and it was a dream to spin compared to the Malabrigo Nube. It drafted beautifully, and I think you can see in how it turned out spun that I didn't have nearly as many problems spinning this as I did with the Malabrigo. So if you're wondering why I have two little skeins, I have an Ashford Traveler spinning wheel, and the bobbins only hold 2 ounces, so I can't do 4-ounce skeins. I have to do 2-ounce skeins, or you know, roughly 50-gram skeins instead of a 100-gram skein, because it just doesn't hold that much yarn on the bobbin. So that's why I'm always going to have these little skeins, unless I get the jumbo flyer in the future, which is future goals. And then since I did a traditional 3-ply, I had leftover singles. So these are my singles. I left them just plain because I only ended up with like 15 yards maybe. What I did do though is I fold them, kind of felted them so they won't come apart. I washed all of this yarn has been washed and thwacked and then hung up to dry. And when I did my singles, here Jack, you want to see the singles? Here. When I did my singles, I had a separate bowl for them, and I normally wash my yarn in like lukewarm, mildly warm water with some soak soap. But with my singles, I took the hottest tap water I had in one bowl and the coldest tap water in another, and I went hot, cold, and really shook it up to kind of felt it up and full it, so I know that these singles won't break. I mean, unless you pulled really hard on them, but you could totally knit with it and it wouldn't come apart. Even though I don't have enough that I would knit with it, most likely it will end up in some hand embroidery or something like that. I don't think I told you how much yarn this was. So this was a 4-ounce braid, and I ended up with about 151 yards, which if you go weight to yardage, it puts you in more of a worsted, almost bulky weight, but this is more of a worsted DK weight. So I wonder if, because it's merino top, it may just have spun densely, because it's more of a worsted spin. There's less air in the yarn, so that's what I think. Jack must really not be feeling well because he just wants me to hold him so we can record together and he can be my co-host of this video. Yeah, chew that finger. So the last finished object that I have are some little crocheted stockings that double as... Oh, okay. Are you going to tell us, are you going to do some crochet? They double as a ornament and a gift card holder. Future crocheter right here. But, oh, you dropped it. So here's what they look like. I just used Red Heart Super Saver and kind of made up the pattern as I went because I know how to knit socks. I figured crocheting socks wouldn't be much different. And I mean, it really wasn't. I just did some toe increases, crocheted plain. When it came time for a heel, I just mimicked a miniature version of a short row heel and then continue crocheting up towards the top, and then to give it the look of a ribbed cuff, I did front post and back post half double crochets, and then I just added a little chain loop. It's just the perfect width to fit a gift card holder in there, and I thought these would be a great addition to my... I'm so sorry, that's Jack with the crochet hook down there. Sometimes I'm so used to drowning out background noise that when I'm recording I don't realize the noise is going on, and I don't realize I need to stop, wait for it to stop, restart, and edit it out. But yeah, I figured this would be a great addition to the little table that I have at the craft fairs next month. So so far I've just made 2 of this one, And you can see I was playing with how many rows to do of each color. Jack. And then I made a striped one as well. So those are all my finished objects. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and like it. And then if you guys haven't subscribed already, make sure to do so if you're interested in getting an update every time I release a video. Until next time, guys, happy crafting. Bye. Are you saying bye? Bye. Bye. Bye.